Hello everybody, this is Scarecrow. Today we're going to go behind the scenes of penalty harm. As many of you know, it drives me crazy when analysts like to hide behind their stats, won't show you the formulas, won't show you what's going on behind the scenes. So demystifying it is kind of a personal mission for me, and hopefully this will help you see how a lot of things occur behind the scenes. We're going to go start to finish and show you just a few of the tricks that I use to bring penalty harm to you every week during the regular season. First thing I'm going to highlight are these red cells. This is going to come from a play-by-play, which I gathered from many different sites, and will automatically give me a lot of the information I'm going to use. Down, distance, field position, everything you see here. I'd like you to bring your attention over to the yellow cell, and I'll show you what we do in order to get that harm rating. All these blank cells will end up being used later. We'll get to those, but right now, let's bring back to the penalty we're actually going to take a look at. This is the controversial Cody Ford illegal blindside block, so the final penalty of the Buffalo Bills 2019 season. If you look above, this first column we're going to look at is team. This will help us sort later. We're going to add the abbreviation for the Bills. The next is the phase. This is usually going to be an O or a D for offense or defense, but occasionally we get those nasty special teams penalties. Cody Ford is going to be our player, and we already know the penalty. All right, now if you pay attention to the yellow cell, a lot of this is going to auto-calculate. So up here in the cell bar, we have a lot of numbers, and really what this is calculating all the columns to the left of it. So the first one is penalty yardage, and if we go over and highlight this cell, we'll see that it's 15 yards. And that's assessed at 10%, so 1.5. The next column is yards affected. And in this particular play, Josh Allen had gained 4 yards, which were wiped out by the penalty. This is also assessed at 1/10 or 10%, so you'll see the penalty harm will now jump to 1.9. And that'll do it for this particular penalty. But let's run through some hypotheticals so you can see what would happen if some other things had occurred on this play. So the next thing is points affected. What if Josh Allen's 4 yards had gained a touchdown? Well, we'd assess that at 7 points, and you'll notice that that is a direct ratio. What about downs? If Josh Allen had gained a first down on this particular play, which was a third down, it would have given the Bills 2 downs, and you'll see that's also a direct ratio. And finally, we had the possession change negated. That would have been a fumble that was recovered. This would have had to have been a penalty on the Texans in order to negate that. But we assess those at 4 downs, which is the number of opportunities the opposing team could have had in that scenario. And that's it. That's the whole formula. The auto calculation helps me do things a lot faster, and you're going to see that there's a lot of shortcuts in here. So the next stop I usually make when I'm doing this is the standard measures tab. And you'll see we have a couple of graphics that look pretty similar, or familiar I should say. And what these are is just the usual data you're seeing on many of the sites commonly. So the count, the true count, which is nothing more than the count plus offsetting and decline penalties added. And you'll see that if I were to alter these, that the charts adjust themselves. So it's really just a quick copy and paste. And now that see the benefit of that as well is I keep these charts fairly consistent. Now we're going to jump over to the season table. And I've made the plea a few times. If you have any questions that I have not answered, please just throw them out there because it's very easy for me to get the data I need. So right now what we're looking at is a table sorted for the Buffalo versus Houston Texans game, and we're looking at just the Houston Texans penalties. And the only thing I have in here currently is the player and which penalties they've committed. However, if you wanted to know something like what was the phase of game that had the most, we can bring those in a number of ways. So I'm going to add that as a report filter. And then now we can sort by offense, defense, or special teams. Now there's not a whole lot of data here, so you're not going to see a lot of changes, but that did negate a couple things from the Texans. But the beauty of this is I can do a lot of different searches for this. So I'm going to change this to all of the games. And nothing really changed because I'm still filtering by just the Texans. If I switch this to all teams, you're going to see this table becomes very large very quickly. Now, one of the things you may be interested in, and some things that do occur at the end of the year, is I'll break things down Buffalo versus opponents. So if I select just the Buffalo Bills, now we have just the Buffalo Bills offensive penalties. And again, I can switch that by phase of game. I can switch that by a number of factors. If I wanted to do multiple opponents or even all of the opponents, I could do that easily. So I'm going to select all teams, and I'm going to remove Buffalo from the search field. And now we have all of Buffalo's opponents. So this is going to be all of the offensive penalties committed by Buffalo opponents for the entire 2019 season. I'm going to bring your attention back over here. You'll see that I can also add filters for time, down, distance, field position. I can add information on the play if I wanted to look something up quickly. So if you had a particular question on a particular play, so for instance, let's look at this Quincy Enunwa, offensive pass interference. This will tell you exactly why it rated the penalty harm that it did. And 8.5, that's one that probably would draw some questions, and you'll see that it did negate a touchdown. So again, feel free to ask questions. The data is very easy for me to get. And finally, I'm going to bring you over to the main charts for the article and show you just a couple of shortcuts that I use for this as well. So you'll see, again, one of those pre-manufactured charts, which will go into the articles with a copy and paste. Right now, this is set for Buffalo Bills at Houston Texans, and this is the Texans penalty. I'm going to change that over to the Bills, and you're going to see that it becomes a little bit larger. One of the things I take a lot of care in to make it as presentable as possible is team colors. And you'll notice down below the chart, I have blue and red. Those are actually the RGB codes for the Buffalo Bills colors. So if I click on these blue columns here, I can go to the colors. You'll see that in the custom, I have the ability to add the RGB or red, green, blue. And for the Bills, it is 0, 51, 141. And you'll see that we go from Texans blue to Buffalo Bills blue. And of course, we can't leave the red hanging out there. So we go to 198, 12, and 48. And we don't have a whole lot of difference, but you will see it looks a little better. All right, so again, the point of all this is to demystify some of the things that go on behind the scenes in analytics, and pretty much everything we come up with is going to be similarly made. So you're going to see Excel spreadsheets, you're going to see a lot of things auto-calculated to save time, and you're going to see a lot of color coding. So if any questions pop up, anything you want to know, absolutely ask. The worst thing that an analyst can do, especially when they're hiding behind the data, is not tell you where things come from. So hopefully this has been helpful and will encourage people to ask questions. Thank you.